Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Building Your Empire with SophieZo. Today, I have another amazing guest for you all. This woman is someone I have followed on social media for probably 10 to 12 years. I have watched her business and her life, so to speak, without stalking her, mind you. Uh, and just love what she does, love what she's about, love her as a person and a human being. So I invited her to share her with you and her great wisdom. So, without further ado, let me introduce you to Kendall SummerHawk. She is the creative founder of the #1 Coach Certification Academy that fully prepares you to confidently coach other women through the powerful secrets of money and business breakthroughs so they own their worth at a deep soul level. Kendall founded her company with one mission: to put the power of making money into every woman's hands. When Kendall launched her Coach Certification Academy, she pioneered a revolutionary approach to coaching that fills a gap other coaching schools miss. This revolutionary approach is why the women Kendall certifies are making money, filling their coaching programs, and standing in the power of creating their financial independence. Kendall runs a 7+ figure business. Her teachings have earned 9 Stevie Awards, including Mentor of the Year and Women Helping Women. Kendall works from home in Arizona, enjoying lots of time riding dressage with her beautiful Spanish horses and time with her husband and business partner, Richard. Gotta love it. Kendall, thank you for coming on the show. Welcome. It is so great to have you here today.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always funny when every time I hear my bio read, you notice the order at the end about time with the horses and then the husband.
You're right. You do talk about the horses before your own husband.
I do a lot. He knows that though.
That's kind of like me with all the Harry Potter stuff. It's like, oh, I'm a big Harry Potter fan. Oh, and yeah, then there's my husband, Mike.
That's funny.
I love it. All right, Kendall. Well, welcome to my podcast, and let's dive in. Here's that question I ask all my guests: what is your best tip, trick, or advice for that business owner who wants to grow from 6 to 7 figures and beyond?
Easy answer, and then I'm going to go, kind of riff off of it for a few minutes. The easy answer is raise your prices, is to raise your prices. Now I'm going to speak primarily to women. That's who I really serve, are women entrepreneurs. And I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that 99.9%, actually I'm going to say 100% of women entrepreneurs undercharge and over deliver and have an opportunity to raise their pricing. And it doesn't matter what type of a business that they are in. And I think that so that's number one, raise your prices. And what's interesting is that then for a lot of women, then they have to suppress the urge to then want to start delivering even more. That is not the point. Most women are already over delivering and undercharging. The idea here is to charge, raise your fees into a much higher level and keep your service. You may tweak the services a little bit, but basically keep the services the same. And I think that there's a couple of things I want to say about this, Sophie, is that one is that as women, every business on the planet has the opportunity to have some type of, in the coaching world, we call it high ticket, premium level service, an upper level service. And most businesses, number one, don't understand that. They don't understand that that opportunity exists. Or number two, they think that it's down the road. They think it's later. And I'm all about having that premium, offer, platinum offer, what we call in coaching, high ticket, whatever. I'm all about having it right now. Like even if this was day one in someone's business, start with high ticket. That's where you start. You don't build out the low end, you go for the top end immediately as part of your profit pyramid. And I think that this is very challenging for a lot of women to really say, okay, I can do that. And that's actually the point. First of all, this is just good, solid, sound business practices to do this, because you're going to be incredibly profitable right from the beginning, or much more profitable in your existing business. But the other thing is that energetically, it really mirrors for you, it like puts it right in front of your face, that what your relationship is with money. And so it really, I want to say it forces you, and I don't mean in a bad way, let me say it challenges a woman to really, get really clear about where those money blocks are, because they're there anyway. And so you might as well work through them, charging higher premium pricing, because you're going to end up feeling more whole and aligned within yourself. You're going to end up having, I can't promise that you'll eliminate money blocks, but you'll certainly lessen their power over you to a great extent, and you'll be making more money in the process. So it's all good, right?
Right. Yes.
And then if you allow me to, I want to say one other thing about this is that, actually two other things, is that when you go to raise your fees, for the love of all things awesome, please do not start asking everybody in your world, well, what do you think? How much should I charge? Do you think I can charge this much more? Don't do that. There are better coaching questions to ask oneself, and there's certainly the right person or the right small number of people to ask questions like that of. And it's typically not all the people that you surround yourself with. And here's why. And I always talk about being really selective with who you share your numbers with, because not everyone has earned the right to be a witness to your numbers. And when you start talking about charging a lot more, if you're asking the wrong people, not that they're the wrong people in your life, they're just not the right people to ask that, to give feedback from on this. What's going to happen is you're going to trigger all of their money stuff. You're going to trigger all of or activate all of their money story. And that's what makes them not necessarily the right person to ask. So you want to ask a mentor. You want to ask a high-level coach who is also charging higher amounts of money. You want to ask somebody who really fundamentally believes in you and the value of what you have to offer and says, yeah, you go, girl. You go do that. All right?
Awesome.
Yeah. And there's one more thing I want to say. I know I said you could ask me other questions, but we may not have that opportunity.
It's just, I'm absorbing it all. And yes, this is good.
So the other thing that you want to do is you want to accustom yourself to having more in your bank account. And this is something that I talk about all the time. I've been in business over 21 years. I've coached thousands and thousands and thousands of women on their relationship with money. And so I've had the opportunity, the privilege to see inside all these thousands of women's lives and their businesses and really their bank accounts. And, I'm not a financial planner. I'm not an accountant. I'm not a CPA. I'm not any of those things. I'm a girl who knows how to make money and how to help other people make money. And so one of the things that I've observed is that very often, women live at the number of just enough in their bank account. And just enough can be at $100,000 income. It can be at $250,000. It can be at $1 million income. I've seen women do this at $2 and $3 and $4 million incomes, live at just enough. And you think, wow, once I make a lot more money, I'll have a lot more money. And that obviously has the opportunity to be true, but it's not automatically true. So what I really believe and see work so brilliantly is, even today, you want to get really clear on what your basic living expenses are. You want to get really clear on your business expenses, and you want to aim to have more than that. I like to aim for 3 times that in your business bank account, your business checking account. And it may take a little while to get there, but you want to have that cushion, that padding, that more than enough. And so that, so you need to know your numbers. When money comes in, and you need to make a decision that that's the experience you're going to create for yourself, is having more than enough. And when money comes in, and I'll finish on this point, it means don't be like Teflon with your money. You want to be like Velcro with your money, right? You want it sticking to you. You don't want to be Teflon. And we're just like comes in and slides right off, right? I mean, it's heartbreaking when I've coached women at, $1 million mark, and they have no money and a ton of debt. It's like, wow, really? And so I've watched this, and this is why, I'm like, this is why God put me on this planet in this lifetime, is to work with women and their money. And so you want it, when that money comes in, let it sit in your bank account. Let it sit for a week. Let it sit for a week. Allow yourself the opportunity to feel what it feels like to have more money in your bank account. And it's not necessarily going to be comfortable. For most people, it is not comfortable. Even for myself, and I've been at, 7 figures plus year after year since 2008. So that's a lot of years. And it's like a little uncomfortable, right? And just allow yourself to experience that feeling and then pay your bills and do your allocations in the way that you do. But you want, this exercise is so powerful because it's going to help you start to shift into that, being that woman who has more than enough, who always has 3 times her basic monthly bills sitting there in her bank accounts.
That is awesome. I love all of that. And it makes total sense. And one point I want to, well, there's a couple points I want to go back to, but the first one I want to go back to is what your original, your first point of raising prices. And you spoke about women notoriously underprice and over deliver.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing that came to mind for me is the adage in business that many of us have learned is under promise and over deliver. And in that process, because they're under promising, they can't charge as much, which is, it's a money story, it's a money block, but it kind of makes sense for anybody teaching that, well, under promise and over deliver. It's like, oh, well, if I'm under promising, then I don't charge as much.
Yeah, there's a linkage there. And that doesn't belong. The linkage shouldn't be there. They're 2 separate things. I've never really caught into that phrase, under deliver. It's hard for me because it goes against my grain of, just being of supreme value. And yet it is out there. I absolutely, the basic principle is a sound principle. I like to think of it as like, promise what you know you can deliver, like what you know you can easily, comfortably deliver, and leave room for more. If there's, always leave room for more. Not that you over deliver, you get paid for the more, but that there's more energy, there's more time, there's more spaciousness. You're not fire hosing your poor client, so that they then do want to come back for more. But definitely you've got to start breaking that linkage, that false linkage that you under deliver, and that means you have to also undercharge. The two have nothing to do with each other.
I love it. And that's what I was thinking. It's because money stories and money blocks are so huge. I mean, and women do tend to have them more than men, although I've met men that have them as well. And, I love the idea of letting the money sit in your bank account, the extra or whatever you want to call it. It's not really extra, but, let the revenue sit in your bank account and look at it and go, oh my gosh, there's X dollars in my bank account. This is amazing. And not go, okay, let me go pay the bills. I gotta pay this, I gotta pay that. So learning to accept, because it's kind of like an acceptance thing, is, it's okay to have more money in your bank account. It's not a bad thing.
No, it actually, what it is normalizing. It's normalizing it. And I think that because when we run our bank account at just enough, plus or minus 5%, it's really stressful. It creates a lot of adrenaline, unnecessary stress that no woman needs more stress in her life, for goodness sakes. And so it's really uncomfortable for a lot of people. It is very uncomfortable. It can trigger like feelings of guilt, unworthiness. For me, it can trigger feelings of shame. But you brought up something interesting. You do want to name it. Like I call it, I think of it as my freedom amount, my comfort amount. Like I'm running just enough for me is hideously uncomfortable. Having, in my business checking account, having that 3 times over what I need for the whole month's expenses, that's freedom. That's my relaxation amount. So name it, name it something that is meaningful for you so that you have positive connected feelings with it.
Oh, I love that. That's not something I've ever heard spoken of or learned or anything, but name it, and name it in that positive way. So that it's something, because if it's something good and positive that, speaks to you, it gives you more motivation to strive for it and to do it, instead of go, oh no, I can't do that. I can't leave that kind of money in my bank account.
Right.
It makes it it's a way to bring it into a comfort zone for the person who is not used to doing that. So
absolutely. Absolutely.
Very good. So, all these points you've brought up, what would you say to, that woman entrepreneur who has hit a ceiling of, let's just call it 250,000, just for a number, that wants to go to 1 million, but they're just stuck at that ceiling at 250,000. What is like their first step to figuring out why and how to unblock from that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's actually a very simple answer. The answer is to choose and decide to be a $1 million woman. If you're at the, and I did this because I understand the stuck thing totally. I had reached 100,000 in my business, 102, 98, 100, 102 for 3 years in a row. And the first year was awesome. I'd never made that kind of money in my life before. And the second year I did it, then, the next year, the second year I was like, this is good. I repeated it. And the third year that I repeated it, I said, okay, this is nice. And I'm appreciative and grateful because I'm a person of gratitude and I'm stuck. This is now like my new normal and that's not okay. And I decided in that moment to become a $1 million business owner. And this was, I get my years mixed up, but I think this was beginning of 2006. So I didn't know any $1 million business owners at that time. Social media was not, it didn't exist. So you didn't see all this opportunity online like you do now. But I decided to be a $1 million business owner and I decided to do it. I didn't say, oh, I wish, or I'm setting the intention. It's like, no, that's who I'm going to be. And if you notice, it wasn't a money goal. I mean, I ended up making that, of course, but it wasn't like, oh, I'm at 100, so my goal is going to be 150. No, I said, I'm going to be a $1 million business owner. And I started running my business through that lens. Everything, like right away, the very first thing I did was I said, okay, well, how does a $1 million business owner handle her email? I mean, I got really basic here. And it only took 2 years. That first year I did that, I went from 100,000 to, it was 564,000 in 1 year. That's almost a, whatever, 6 times multiplier. And then the next year in 2008 broke $1 million. And it's, been there and more than that each year since. So I think it's really, and you can do this at any level. My number now is not the $1 million business owner. That's normal for me. That's like, would not be quite enough actually, but it's a much higher number. And so what happens, it's such a powerful strategy because it aligns you, daily actions and your inner being and all the thoughts and the garbage stuff in our brains, right? Like it really mirrors everything for you. And I can't promise you how long it will take, but it will, if you are committed to this, even on the days when it's not easy. That first year, there were days I put my head, like literally looked like this, crying. Like, I can't do this. I'm not, actually, it was the second year, crying. Like, I don't think I can do this. And then I'd pick my head up out of my hands and say, no, I want to be a $1 million business owner. And so you get over yourself, you learn new things, you become that person, and you start to make decisions like her, like she does, which will help you raise your rates. Because $1 million business owners, certainly, they may still undercharge, but they certainly charge more than the person who's at 250, I can guarantee you.
Absolutely. Well, I want to cover a couple more things. We
Sure.
might go a little bit long because one of them you didn't talk about at all, except in your bio. The other thing is the surrounding yourself with people or with a small group of people who believe in you and your ability to hit whatever you want to hit and are there or higher, and so that they can relate to where you're at and help pull you up instead of being where you are and have no clue how to get there and just think they do. Talk a little bit more about that, surrounding yourself with a couple of people and get coaches and mentors, but there's also in your personal life, not that you need to get rid of people who don't believe in you or anything, but like what about the people in your life, both business and personal? How do you know who to talk to and who not to when it
I
comes
think when you start, and you can certainly tell in an instant, like, uh, you, when you start talking about money, people's stuff's going to come out. And I think about in my personal life that those 2 years that I just talked about, I was in a mastermind, and it was actually a local mastermind. And I started rapidly, even at 100,000, I was making more money than anybody in that group. And yet that group really was a secure, safe place for me to grow into a $1 million business owner, because the people at that time in that group supported me. Like they said, you can do this, absolutely. And they got behind me and my vision. And it wasn't always just, hey, atta girl. It was challenging. They challenged me a lot when I was in massive self-doubt or fear or confusion or, just mental churning. So I think that and now always it's my mom and my husband too. But, my husband, the thing with him is that for him, it's like, oh yeah, you'll do it. It's not a big deal. So if I have doubt or whatever, he's like, he just has no, like, he doesn't understand that and he doesn't want to talk about it. Whereas my mother will be patient and listen to me churn and coach me out of it. She's the master coach herself. So I think that and if you are, and I think if you live with somebody who's not, like, they think that might be wrong or greedy or something like that, here's two things you can do. Number one is sit down and have a conversation with them and say, I am changing. I want to make this kind of money. This money is important to me because of what it represents and who I'm going to become and what it can do for us as a family. And you can have, what are your thoughts and feelings about this? And I had to do that with my brother who does work for me. And I thought, I didn't know how he was going to react. I really didn't. And I had this conversation with him and he was like, oh my God, I love you. He called me by my pet name that only he calls me. He said, I think you're amazing. And he literally said, you go, girl. And it's like, whew, good. But if he had not reacted that way, if it's somebody that doesn't react that way, you can just say, I understand how you feel. How you feel makes sense to me. And I'm not changing my plan. So it'll just be something that I'll update you on here and there, but we just won't talk about it that much. And that's okay with me. And I still love you. And I know you love me. Like, you just have that conversation. And so that you're really clear, but the thing is you cannot be going to these people for permission. You cannot be going to people saying, because basically saying, will you still love me if I make more money? And I know it's really hard because one of the fears that many women have is that in some way they will lose love. Not all women have this, but many do, they will lose love if they start to, really excel and succeed and rise above. There's an old story that's a European story of the tall poppy. And I've heard different cultures claim it, the Australians, British, Irish, don't be the tall poppy, or they call it tall poppy syndrome. The tall poppy, don't be the tall poppy because you'll be the first to be cut down. Wow, that's powerful. And you say tall poppy to anybody in Australia, they know exactly what you're talking about. So I think you have to be careful, and you just know, okay, that's not a person that's going to be behind me in the way that I need to be behind. I can still love them and accept their support in other ways, and that's fine. Just don't talk about it with them. Don't expect them to get behind you in the way that you need. Find somebody else.
Right. Well, and I love the fact that you brought up the permission thing. Because in all honesty, nobody has to give you permission to make $1 million to do what you want to do. It is ultimately your life. And I know, and there are people who will say, oh, well, that's selfish. It's like,
yeah, it's not.
It's not selfish. It's not because I don't love you and I want to do better than you or, any of those things. That's just what I want. And I love that you reminded us that it is not a permission thing. Except for ourselves. We have to give ourselves permission.
Yeah, we have to. And when you said the thing about being selfish, you have to remember, unless you're winning the lottery, this money isn't just falling out of the sky into your hands. You're actually providing service. You're helping people. You're helping people. And so that's what's amazing, right? And people always say money is energy and money is an exchange. And I actually have never really resonated with that. But for me, money is emotion. Money is emotion, and you get to be in charge. You get to be the sovereignty, if I'm pronouncing that word correctly. You get to be sovereign as to how you feel about money. You get to choose. And I would encourage you to get into alignment that your thoughts and feelings about money are positive, are powerful, that you have a purpose. Money loves a purpose. Money loves a home. Money loves a mission. Money loves all these things. So start to get clear on those things. Know what the money is for. There's lots more. We could talk for 2 hours or more.
We could talk we could talk hours on this. And I just one little brief thing. You mentioned Richard, and has he always been your business partner, or did he not start out as your business partner and had to be that husband or that supported you, but then at some point, for whatever reason, he became your business partner?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. When he and I met, we've been married, this coming month will be our 20th anniversary of being married. And so when we met, we both had our own business. And so as soon as we got married on the 1-year anniversary of our meeting. And we got married February 13th, and then we incorporated that October. We kept our same businesses, but we wanted to form a corporation that included both of the businesses. So we were already thinking togetherness. And he's always been in the money industry, actually. So he was doing something else, and I worked with him in his business quite a lot. So we would speak at annual conventions for his industry he was in. We were on stage together in front of 4,000 people. We would lead breakout sessions. We wrote a column together for a monthly printed journal. It was very cool. Anyway, so, but the industry was really not a good fit for our level of integrity. It was kind of a shady industry. And I said, you know what, honey, this doesn't fit us. It's not fitting you or me or both of us together. So you need to get out. So he sold the business to somebody he had been like an apprentice type of person. And my business was starting to take off. And so he joined me in the business. And so we've been working together. I don't remember exactly. I think it's like 16 years. It's been a long time that we work together. My husband works with me. I have a whole family business plus team that are not blood related, but have been with me a long time. So my brother, my husband, my mom, all work with me in the business. They're amazing at what they do. And Richard always teases that if I could get the dog and the cat on the payroll, I would. But and the horses. And then I have other team as well. Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, that's great. I love that.
Yeah.
It's been a great pleasure having you on the show.
Mm.
But before we go, tell everybody where they can find you. If there's an offer you want to offer to my people, let them know that too. But let them know where they can find you and learn more about you and see if they want to work with you or take advantage of what you do.
Because we teach women how to be incredible business and money coaches, and they make money. It's amazing. Sure, I'll give you a couple of links. You can go. I have a free pricing guide, and it's specifically for women who want to be business coaches, but it's applicable to any woman in a service-based business. So you can get that at kendallsummerhawk.com/pricing, and you can go opt in and get instant access to that downloadable guide. And the other thing is I have a free Facebook group that's kendallsummerhawk.com/tribe, TRIBE. It's the Tribe of Courageous Coaches. And it's specifically where I talk about money and business setup and coaching skills, the whole wonderful alchemy for women who want to serve women entrepreneurs. So, and I go on camera every Tuesday afternoon, early evening, depending on your time zone, in a money class there. So you can come join me in the tribe, kendallsummerhawk.com/tribe or kendallsummerhawk.com/pricing and get that free pricing guide.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, Kendall. I really appreciate it. It's been an honor to have you here. I'm sure my listeners are loving it and eating it up. For the listeners out there, if you haven't already subscribed, please do look for our links in the show notes. They'll all be there. And of course, I'll see you all next week.
Thank you.